Started. Huge welcome to everyone. This is, an event that for Viaka we've started to put on like monthly educational webinars, and we're really excited this month in particular to partner with Draper House for our MENA Builders in AI Across the World panel. Obviously, very topical. Everyone has AI on the tip of their tongues right now, so we're just super excited to highlight folks connected to or from the MENA region that are building in such an innovative and exciting space. Super quick for those who don't know much about Viaka. The Viaka network is a digital community for founders, investors, tech builders, experts with a connection or interest or interest in the MENA region. Among other things, we have a members only Slack workspace. We host monthly events like this one, arrange for virtual one-on-one meetings between our members, and have also started to do some small in-person events. This is all free at the moment, so we'd love for anyone in the audience who isn't already a part of it to join. We have over 250 members at the moment, and those members are spread across over 30 cities worldwide in the MENA region, as well as outside of it. I'll share an application link in the Zoom chat after this introduction. As I mentioned, also super excited to partner with Draper House for this event. I'll turn it over to you, Waleed, to just do a quick introduction of Draper and what you guys do.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for today's event. As Draper Startup House, actually, we are a global entrepreneurship house. Right now, we have 25 different locations with our physical and partner locations. We would like to enable 1 million entrepreneurs by 2030. And Draper Startup House is also providing different types of services like venture, accelerator, network. Also, we are a global hospitality brand. So if you are a traveling entrepreneur, don't hesitate, just go to Draper Startup House. They will always welcome you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for today's event again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eleda. And yeah, thank you. Big thank you to Draper Startup House. Really neat organization, and we're super excited to partner with you guys on this. Then last slide from me before I turn it over to the panel. Just want to do some quick introductions of the really impressive panel that we have today. Moderating is going to be Hannah Arafeh. Hannah's a VC at Hula Ventures, which is a venture fund elevating Vermont-based startups and entrepreneurs. They support innovative ideas and disruptive technologies through seed and early stage funding, mentorship, and connectivity. Abed Kasaji is a serial entrepreneur and product leader. He spent time with Karim and Meta before founding Anecdote in 2022. Anecdote is a generative AI product that helps companies make better product decisions by listening to their customers. They structure unstructured text and voice feedback and marry it with user engagement data and business metrics. Sameh Fredj is the lead data scientist at Emirates Group, where she's responsible for managing and driving end-to-end delivery of AI solutions. She holds a PhD in computer science jointly from Telecom Paritech and Nokia Bell Labs, where her research was focused on IoT, smart spaces, and data science. She's also currently volunteering as Director of Partnerships onboarding at Women in AI organization. Waleed Atallah is the product manager focused on silicon boards and systems designed for artificial intelligence. He worked at Intel until 2021, at which point he joined Untether AI, a startup dedicated to building specialized computer chips for AI acceleration. And Kazzy Khazaal is a serial entrepreneur and YouTuber with 500,000 subscribers. He's managed some of the largest influencers in the industry and has generated millions of dollars in ad revenue from brands for influencers. He's the founder of Dreamwell AI, an AI-powered marketing tech company that enables brands to launch AI-generated profitable campaigns. they leverage AI to auto-generate entire campaigns with one click and predict the revenue from those campaigns even before they go live. What I really love personally about this panel is we have like MENA talent from truly everywhere in the world. That we were talking just before letting in the audience that we have folks from Dubai, London, across North America. So really excited just to highlight the talent coming from our region and how we're pushing really technology boundaries across the world. If you're in the audience and have a question for the panelists, feel free to post that in the Zoom chat, and we'll get to it towards the end of the event. With that, Anna, I'm gonna turn it over to you to dive into questions. Again, thank you everyone so much for joining.
Thanks, Hani. I mean, of course, thank you to you for setting all of this up. I'm very excited to pick these panelists' brains about AI. So it's a treat to be here with all of you. And I felt like those introductions were sufficient. So I'm going to get right into the second question, actually. If we can go around and say what inspired everyone to get started working in the field of AI, you know, whether that be first job, first experience, first brush with AI, but I would love to hear about it personally. So the first person on my screen is Sameh, and then we can go Waleed, Abed, Kazzy.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. Thank Hani for the introduction. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the panel. I'm really happy to be here today and meet all of you. So getting back to your question, how I get into AI, correct? So I get into it before we start talking about naming things as artificial intelligence and data science. I started it, I think we can say the starting point was during my PhD, where I was doing a lot of data analytics around IoT data, Internet of Things data, and applying machine learning algorithms, but without having the names at that time about data science. It was around 2015. So it was mostly statistical model and how to analyze, apply statistical approach on the data. And I really liked it because you can understand things through the data and you can analyze things through the data. And this was impressive for me. So I started, having my interest growing during the PhD, and then I wanted to, after that, to go more into operational mode where we can really build product and see how they're impacting the customers. So I decided to opt out of research and go more into operations. And then I started working with different customers as data scientist consultant in different companies in France, in Paris. And I could really see the impact of data and how you can make better decision with the data and understanding why these things happen and have really explanation for it. My passion just grow with this experience, and I wanted to build my career in this domain. And here I am still in the data and in the AI part and data science world.
Excellent. Thank you. So the rest is history. You got a brush with it. You fell in love. Waleed, you're next. Can you tell us about how you got into AI?
Absolutely. And even something Sameh said, you said in 2015 really was kind of when people started calling it AI. You're kind of right. You know, it went through this whole transition. It was big data before. That used to be the hot topic that everybody was on over. And so for me, it was in 2017 while I was at Intel. And you know, the AI, but I think everyone and their mother was talking about AI and had their next big AI prophecy for when self-driving cars are going to take us everywhere and all sorts of stuff. But the excitement was very real. And so while in 2017, I really just did everything I could to be part of the AI teams at Intel. And, you know, it was just a lot of really fascinating work. And, you know, I've been a hardware guy my entire career, so I'm probably pretty biased. But for me, it always starts at the hardware. And from there, you know, the capabilities and what's possible really, you know, blows up, becomes endless. So for me, it was, you know, working with the really smart people at Intel and then trying to figure out like what's the best way to kind of enable AI to take on the next steps that, you know, were plastered all over the headlines of every magazine.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel like I'm very saturated with info about AI on a daily basis now in 2023, especially in venture capital, and it's kind of the hot topic for investments. So interesting how the peaks have kind of sustained themselves. Abed, can you tell us about how you got into AI? Your first brush with it?
I mean, you know, like what's not to like about AI from like the science fiction from the early childhood days. I think it seems something, you know, like you wanted to jump on. So yeah, since we're throwing terminologies, I think I remember the first thing was called maybe data mining, maybe like around the same kind of like time. And I've been fascinated by this. So my background is in product management. And I was fortunate enough to join Careem quite early. So I made it kind of like an intentional thing to go and, you know, like become the first PM that is like AI PM at Careem, and built a lot of like AI products there. So I think that was kind of the professional AI career when it started for me. And then it became all about like kind of helping other people get into AI, helping people to get the value from AI. And then after I moved to Facebook, and then actually my company now does AI. So it's kind of like something super interesting. And I feel like people should be more aware of the reality of the AI beyond just the hype and like what all of the VCs now are hearing about, you know, all of these like pitching of like people getting anything and slapping AI on it. So it's a lot more than that.
Absolutely. Kazzy, you're up.
So everybody has impressive like history with AI. I'm more of a rookie. I'm more new with AI. So my experience with AI started more recently because it was the best solution for what we were building. So very quickly, I work with a lot of companies and brands who work with social media ads and influencers. And the best way to, you know, service them was to use AI, machine learning algorithms to predict the revenue on ads, to make brands with the perfect influencer just by clicking a button and then having it run through many databases to have the perfect recommendations. So my stint with AI actually started much more recently, and I'm already starting to see like the power of it and how helpful it is for brands, and like not having to hire certain roles that would take a long time to do these things manually. It's just, it has exploded the amount of like possibility that we're even able to service. So that's kind of my stint with AI and how I see it applying to my company today.
Amazing. Thank you all. So I think henceforth for the questions, it doesn't necessarily have to be each person answering it. If a question doesn't apply to you or you're not interested in answering it, just feel free to volunteer to answer it. But yeah, we'll keep moving into the next one. I want to talk about AI landscape, as I mentioned, especially from the venture side of things. AI is all anyone is talking about. And it feels like every single day there's a new story about AI, and a new product has been launched or a new feature has been rolled out. And I want to talk about the general AI landscape because you four are in a uniquely positioned place, kind of talking from the inside. And can you talk to me about where you fit into the AI landscape globally and what projects you're working on and what you're feeling passionate about and really interested in? And we can start again with Sameh, if that's okay.
Good, I'll be always first in the list. Yeah, we can say ladies first, but I'm happy to have other people also starting next time.
Okay.
Yeah, within the AI landscape where it fits. So I'm currently working as a data scientist team lead within Emirates Airlines, and I mean, in the airlines we are, I would say, like consumer of AI. So we are not builder. It's not really a tech company, but we'd like to use technology to improve our operations and our business. And yeah, as an airline, we look to what are like the latest technology in AI, what are the latest products there, and how they can help us make better decisions in our daily operations and how to increase the revenue. And also in my previous experience, I was mostly on the consumer side of AI. I was with company in either in transportation or in marketing or in general services. So the purpose was always to see, what are the last technologies and how better use it for the business. So this is in terms of landscape. And what was the other question? Sorry, you want to ask it?
Any projects you're fascinated by or interested in or passionate about? Doesn't have to be your own.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, the main focus either in my current work is to be always up to date on what is happening in the world of AI, to really understand how it works and how to better apply it. And I mean, for me, I have this passion for the transportation world, and especially for airlines. So I'm really very happy to be in this domain. And I'm very passionate now, about how to apply AI to this domain and how to bring a kind of contribution and a change to that. And this is something that motivates me every day in my current work. In terms of what passion I have right now, a project that we are really I'm focusing on, I think, like many others now, about everything related to the generative AI and how is the trending topic, but also it's quite impressive what is happening is a big change and shift in the way we are using AI. And everyone is using AI. It's becoming so accessible, so easy to use, and it can help you in your everyday life. And we are also looking how to better apply it to our daily business. So the main focus now is generative AI, ChatGPT topics. Quite fascinating topic.
Yeah, no, definitely a very hot topic right now. And kind of building on what you said, the way I see the landscape. There's really three parts, and we're actually, the four of us panelists here represent all three parts pretty well. On the bottom of the stack really is the infrastructure, sorry, hardware guy, but there's the hardware it runs on, or the cloud service provider like AWS or something that you use. And then one level up are the models, right? Like people like you, Sameh, who build the models to actually analyze the data. And on the top of the stack are the applications. And so these are people like you, Kazzy and Abed, who are actually, taking the models and now doing something really useful with them. So every single part, obviously, has been making some really good strides lately. And like you mentioned again, Sameh, generative AI on the top stack, the application stack, has been all the rage right now. And so, what am I looking at when I think of this landscape? Again, sorry, I'm going to keep bringing it up. But for me, to really get generative AI to the masses in a better way than it is now. The top of my mind is kind of the resources and the efficiency of running these models. So when you use ChatGPT, you get the response pretty quick, but it's actually running on a data center thousands of miles away, taking on a bunch of GPUs, a bunch of various hardwares, right? And so I think there's a lot of improvement to be made in terms of the infrastructure, which can, lower the cost of doing generative AI and kind of expand the markets for, those who are building the apps, making it more accessible to everybody.
Abed, Kazzy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, actually, thanks for asking. I think this is a great topic because I think, as Waleed mentioned, there's a lot of work on the infrastructure. My co-founder is an AI researcher who's more focused on the research. But for me, I love to focus on the use cases because I think this is what kind of brings awareness and usability to people. The technology, with generative AI or GPT, has been there maybe for a couple of years already. But I think it became super famous once OpenAI launched a web page that said, okay, this is ChatGPT. Now people can just log in and start using it. So for me, the most fascinating thing is on the applied side, and then how can we actually get this technology and implement it in ways that can help businesses and people directly.
And for me, similar to you, Abed, my co-founders are the product people. They're the ones building everything. So I just try to simplify it to to people, because the people I sell to and I work with they don't code, they're not researchers, so they just want to know how to use it in the marketing tech space. And the main thing I use it for is like prediction algorithms, like content analysis, facial analysis. Like if the lighting is bad on a video, does that affect ROI? So a lot of return on investment optimization. So a lot of analysis on content to be able to predict, like a lot of customers or people I worked with have wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars working with influencers, that now if you click a button, it can actually predict and tell you, hey, this person is overcharging you by 20x, so don't work with them. And so it keeps a lot of like transparency and accountability in the industry now. So that's kind of how I'm using it. And I'm most excited about, there's a company called Wonder Dynamics. It's my favorite AI company I've seen. And there's a camera, it figures out where your hands are, and it turns you into an animated character like Pixar. And you create an entire Pixar movie in 5 minutes. So that to me is the most amazing thing I've seen so far. Wonder Dynamics. It's beta and it looks incredible.
Yeah. It really is the apps where like the rubber hits the road, right? Like you can have the most brilliant infrastructure in the world, but if it's not usable, if you're not putting it in front of somebody in a useful way, then it's gonna just remain collecting dust somewhere on the side.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we're kind of going in this direction, so I do want to ask a question that's later on in our list. But because several of you mentioned the hype around AI, and I mentioned it myself, and I'm privy to it in my daily life, I'm curious what you all would say how a casual observer can kind of break through that hype and familiarize oneself with AI and not kind of fall victim to the amazing marketing and slapping AI on any teacup company or bank or whatever that we see every single day. It's actually becoming hysterical. So I'm curious about it. And how do you feel like someone can grow the muscle of identifying which companies are going to persist through this hype and this trend and which ones may not? Curious what you all would make of that. We'll do Kazzy, are you interested in answering that one? I don't want to put Sameh on the spot again.
So that's a good question, because I wonder about that all the time. Like I get anxious because I'm not seeing what's happening, and AI is exponential. Like if you use a tool before us or anybody, you're going to get left behind really fast. So you want to stay ahead of like what's coming out. So what I do is I look at, I can even share it on the chat. It's called sasaitools.com. There are different directories and they aggregate the best products and they release them as they come out. So you're able to stay on top of what's coming out. And this way, what stays, like the other question is like, what is going to make it through the hype? Like what has a good use case? What is making your job way easier, right? Is that auto posting for you content? Is that research? So whatever is like, looks like fluff probably won't last, but because it's AI and it's not like Web3, so many things came out that were useless, but AI, like a lot of it is not useless. A lot of it is actually very powerful and it's going to learn and get better and better exponentially as well. So that's what I do to kind of like, that's what I would suggest is that you go on these directories and they have it by like video, design, image editing, and just look there, click it, and then look at the different websites and see which one to you would be useful. That's how I do it. And that's how I'm using the tools I'm using today, actually. Auto editing YouTube videos, auto creating copy. So that's how I do it myself.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in on that question?
Man, the hype, that's a big one, right? Like anyone.
It's a huge one.
I feel like AI has been doing like the speed run through the hype cycle like once every couple of years. I remember in 2015 when everybody, I mean, Tesla, Toyota, Mercedes, everybody said cars are going to drive themselves by 2020. And then it was 2018, 2019. They're like, okay, maybe 2023. And now it's 23 and they're saying, okay, 2030 or maybe 2040. So, the hype, like once you get the first results, like, the hype really comes out. And, in 2015, it happened with cars because computer vision really took off. And now with large language models kind of repeating the path that computer vision took, I feel like there's a lot more hype again and everyone's talking oh, AGI is coming, it's going to take your white collar jobs. And so, I tend to be more of a pessimist myself. I think like there's a balance between like how useful something is and how much it costs to operate that service, and is that cost worth the benefit? And don't get me wrong, I think there are a lot of use cases where the cost is absolutely worth it, and we're seeing some like really incredible uses. Like for example, like if you were writing a lot of content, like I even use like ChatGPT and GPT-4 and stuff just to bounce ideas around, kind of workshop ideas. For coding especially, it's really useful. It's a lot easier than looking at like a Stack Overflow page. It's easier to just ask GPT-4, hey, how do I convert this into that, or something like that. So I think, there's gonna be a lot of hype, but it's really just going to be a matter of finding those apps that have the usefulness while remaining cost effective. Because I think there's also going to be a ton of apps that seem really cool and are neat, but aren't going to be cost effective. And I think we're going to get 1,000 new startups, and then half of them are going to die out next year. And the ones that really did find the right use case and the ones that found the right problem to attack are the ones that are going to stick around.
Sameh or Abed, would you like to jump in on that? Otherwise, we can move on to the next question. It's up to you.
Yeah, definitely. I probably can add something. I remember back in 2015 when I, around my end of my PhD, and I started in the market, and there were a hype around Internet of Things as well and connected object. And everyone was saying, oh, this is the revolution in terms of technology and changing our life. And there were a lot of products that time around IoT for consumers, for final consumers. And but in the end, it died very fast, because we saw that the use cases for end consumer person like me, or anyone who will buy these connected objects, actually is more gadgets. We saw applications, but there were a lot of companies around IoT for consumers. But in the end, we saw that a lot of the most important use cases was when you apply to industry. Actually, there where you have the biggest benefits. Yeah, I think in any new technology, you will see this hype, and with time, you will understand which uses are really beneficial and which one are just hype. Now with ChatGPT, we are with generative AI, we are leaving this. We're seeing this again. And there is also a lot of new company and a lot of product, but I think, as Waleed mentioned, we need to see really where's the benefit, what do we gain. For example, we see that there is a huge potential of efficiency and productivity. So in this case, yeah, it will be useful in this area. But I would say, like, we need also to be patient, like with the time you see like what in which uses is the most important one, and which application will not be really beneficial.
Abed, do you want to jump in, or shall we continue on?
I mean, let's continue on. I'll take the next question.
Okay, great. So I think something that all three of you mentioned is usefulness and use case scenarios, which I think is, naturally kind of pivots to the next question. But on that same note, and I kind of want to pivot into talking about the Middle East region, but talk about what you're comfortable with and talk about what you know, I would say. But how can AI solve some of these challenges facing the Middle East and the MENA region? Let's start there, and then after that we can talk about some of the limitations perhaps. But I do want to talk about usefulness, practicality, efficiency, because that was kind of the theme of the last few answers. Let's talk about it as it would pertain to the Middle East. Abed, it's all you.
Thank you. So I think one of the key challenges in AI, specifically in NLP, like understanding basically languages, was that most of the solutions that were built for Arabic were kind of keyword like based. So basically, you have to understand each keyword itself and then build a solution on top of that. then with different dialects becomes really, really difficult. So like you can't actually use a model that, you know, speaks Egyptian and Saudi and then like Jordanian and different dialects. And with generative AI, I think that has been pretty much, I don't want to say like 100% solved, but like it leapfrogged all of these solutions. So there has been a lot of, you know, blockers for building proper chatbots, proper experiences, specifically in Arabic. And I think that barrier is no longer there. So I think there is a ton of new use cases that can be, you know, enabled. So that's on like the grand level. I think MENA companies or like MENA businesses, so we're not very different from like typical businesses. So there isn't like inherently something extremely different beyond like the typical challenges. But I feel like when it comes to the thinking and basically our approach, it's either go big or go home. And I think that's kind of like a problem. So I started, you know, when ChatGPT was launched, I started reading some articles that this government entity started using ChatGPT and this person started using ChatGPT. So I feel it's kind of, we need to solve specific problems, and I think the smaller the better. So I think each person can go in their company and understand what are the tasks that are being done, and then try to automate these tasks and improve these tasks. But then for MENA region, I think there's in many times the hype becomes more or less like a PR opportunity to say this company is the first company to do this. This company is the first company to do that. So thinking of the bottom line and just like focusing on that can actually you know, add value. So for me, it's not actually like a lot of different problems or specific things. It's just like the way we approach AI and trying to understand and doing iterative work on that.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Does anyone else want to jump in on that?
So I agree with Abed. I'm currently based in Dubai. So I'm in the MENA region, and work with a company in the MENA region. And I agree that, I mean, the companies in the MENA region are not different from companies in other regions, you know, in US or in Europe. I also worked in Europe before, and they have the same challenges that they are trying to solve. So I mean, we use AI a lot for automation, for efficiency, for taking better decision, and giving more better insights to the business to take their decisions. And there are the same problems that companies here in the MENA region are trying to solve. So yeah, I agree, like how to be more efficient, how to automate things, and also in all domains, either in transportation or in maybe banking or in healthcare. So it's quite similar. And also things are progressing really very fast here in the region. I don't see really a big gap in terms of awareness of the technology or what's happening in the market. So companies are picking up very fast. And they are like upscaling also very fast, and we see more and more demands to deploy AI, to learn AI, to also a lot of demand to hire people with AI skills. So yeah, I would say, I mean, no surprise, is the same challenges. I think also, as he mentioned, in terms of Arabic, because especially here in Dubai, like is an international city now, people coming from everywhere, and Arabic is still an important language here, especially in your daily life. And having these automatic transcription of discussion and translation to Arabic, I think with generative AI and the tool that are built around generative AI for text-to-speech or text-to-text have facilitated this communication and the adoption of Arabic. So you see more product where they can show you how to say things in Arabic, etc. It's bringing a lot of advantage in the region.
Excellent, thank you. Kazzy and Waleed, if you don't want to jump in on this one, I would love to hear about who do you all have your eyes on in this ecosystem, in this landscape? Who are the big players in your mind? Not necessarily on the global landscape, but I would love to know what companies, what organizations, what research institutions that you're following closely, and what projects that they may be working on that are near and dear to your heart, perhaps, or just something that fascinates you from a distance. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, for me, it was like Wonder Dynamics. So there's that company that, by the way, is there an echo or am I good? It's good.
There was briefly, but I think we're good now.
Good. Yeah, so it's anything that helps you make content looked really fascinating to me, especially when it was just like using your camera to plot 3D points on your body to allow you to create any sort of character you want. That was fascinating to me. And then Adobe and then Microsoft Copilot, especially Microsoft Copilot for customer success. Like my partner works at Shopify and she does customer success for different companies. And I can see that like a call with a client, a merchant would take half an hour. And then after that, it would be 2 hours of work for every 30 minutes, which now it seems like after the call is done, it should take 5 minutes instead of 2 hours, because what it would do is it would transcribe the conversation. It would go into the databases. It would pull the right answers properly. It would plot them onto either an email or something, wherever it is based on the task, and then you're finished. So it's Copilot, Microsoft Copilot is doing that, and then Adobe as well. So Adobe Premiere editing software. Adobe is doing something with Firefly as well to help people edit and make content. And the one thing that I have to say is the most important thing, everyone's going to be using these tools to create content like ChatGPT generated stuff. So everything's going to sound the same, right? So how do you stand out? And it's through stories and originality. So I come from the world of making content and people copy each other all the time, but at least it's your face. Now it's going to not be even your face. It's going to be text and messages. So you can't copy originality. Like that's why you have to be on camera more, maybe. You have to have more personal stories, or else everyone's going to have top 10 ways to get a better job or top 10 ways to create, like everyone's going to have the same stuff over and over again. So to stand out, you have to become like personal branding is so important now. That's what I think you have to do to stand out from all of this other like saturated AI content that's going to come out. So anything that helps you with that process, I'm very fascinated about myself.
Yeah. And, even on that point too, like when we started mass producing like cups and bowls and everything, it didn't make the handcrafted bowls worthless. It actually made those worth more, right? And so like you mentioned, like there's like a certain touch that, we can feel and really see. And I think the same is going to come for generative AI, and it's going to still require that human touch. There's a lot of really cool like apps out there and a lot of really cool like products that are definitely immediately making an impact. But to me, like the biggest things that I'm noticing and that I'm following really kind of just like as a whole is just the development of the open source community around AI. So things like GPT-3, GPT-4 from OpenAI, closed source, their models, they're not releasing all the details about it. But what's been really exciting is all the open source alternatives that research universities around the world and companies around the world have been releasing for free for anybody to use. So I think that trend is going to be especially powerful, and I hate to use buzzwords, in democratizing AI. Like an example I saw even was that there was some research out of one of the big universities in Saudi Arabia that took the Facebook's Llama model, which is like GPT but smaller, but also just as good, and they built on top of it some really impressive work. And so I think the open sourcing of a lot of these super advanced generative AI technologies is really going to exponentially grow the possibilities for everybody. And so to me, that's like a very exciting trend that I'm seeing that I think is going to have a big impact on all of us in the future.
Absolutely. I would love to know what are the ways that you all use AI in your everyday lives to make things easier for convenience. I'll go first, but I was using ChatGPT for financial modeling for a deal that we were investing in, and we didn't quite know the valuation of the company. So I just gave it a couple options and said, this valuation pre-money, this valuation post-money, this convertible note on this cap, stuff like that. And it was very fascinating, and it makes my job a lot easier. Card is very expensive. So that was fascinating for me. I'd love to hear about what you all use it for in your everyday lives.
I can go first and share
Please.
some interesting use cases. So actually, yeah. So like we asked the engineers on our team, and as Waleed mentioned, I think everyone is using it on a daily basis. So like it's much easier than Stack Overflow or something like that. But I would say my favorite use case on a personal level. So I have a 7-year-old daughter, and we spend, like instead of reading a book every night, we just say, hey, listen, what should we talk about tonight? And like, okay, let's write a story about like a teddy bear that was lost in a forest in like Canada somewhere, and then like he had to fly, and then we just like write ChatGPT and then get the story, and then we kind of like laugh with each other, or try to imagine like a unicorn in like some cloud wearing some, I don't know, whatever, and then like kind of get the image of that. So I think there's a lot of specific use cases that can be applied to businesses, and I think more and more with like more trust in ChatGPT. I think for many industries, I think it's there from a high level perspective, but it needs to be ironed out to actually rely on it for your job, Hannah. Like I think you double check the numbers after that, right? So like I think there is still a lot of work to actually get us to that point where we're 100% relying on it without double checking. But I still feel there's a lot of interesting and funny use cases that we can start making our lives a bit more joyful, a bit easier. So it doesn't have like to change our lives completely, but I feel like it's helping us in few steps there.
That's the first I've heard of the 7-year-olds using ChatGPT, but I love it. Anybody else?
We also ask like, give us like a science question, a math question, make it harder, make it easier. So I think, yeah, maybe that's a suggestion for all of the parents on the call. So to make it happen tonight.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you for sharing.
Great.
Does someone else have an example of the way AI is making their personal life easier or efficiency in professional life?
I want to thank Abed because he gave me good ideas to apply with my kids for this story. So I'll try that. Otherwise, in my daily life, I build use cases using AI for different business, but that's true. I think we were hit by this generative AI because we saw that we can be way more efficient in our daily work by using it. Even on our daily tasks, even outside the work, like if you want to do something as a routine or habit, you can make it more efficient. So for me, definitely, like today, I am using a lot ChatGPT for helping me formulating better my emails. So you just give an idea and he can give you like templates of emails where you could spend 1 hour maybe to find the right terms, etc. But he can make you more efficient there. I also start using it for planning my trips and my weekends. As you know, in Dubai is kind of hub. You can travel easily to many other countries, but if you have you can say, okay, I have a weekend, this is my budget, I'm with a family, so where can I go? And is amazing. Like it can plan your weekend, gives you even ideas of what you can do in Dubai during your weekend. So, which is quite amazing. Yeah, I think we saw how easily this AI is changing our life and making it more efficient, which is really great. It's amazing.
Something I'll add to the kids stuff, helping kids with AI. There's a new tool that you can draw a character on a piece of paper with your kid, and then you hold it to the camera, and then the character comes to life. So what they draw becomes a cartoon with a voice. So whatever their imagination is, it actually comes to life with music, and it's the coolest thing ever. I want to try it with my nieces, but it's a new thing actually. It came out recently. I can share it I can share it on the panel after. But what I use ChatGPT for, and I love it, is so I'm trying to sell, right? I'm trying to create a go-to-market strategy. So I always try to do the opposite. Like I try to create a contrarian. So I say, hey, ChatGPT, you are a skeptic. You are this, you are that. I'm going to try to convince you why you should buy my product and give me all the reasons why you shouldn't. So then I just go to war with ChatGPT. I just go for half an hour, it's giving me all the objections, and it's saying this and it's too expensive or that. And then I answer, and then it's just the coolest conversation I have. It's purely logic based, or however I prompt it. And then this way, when I'm talking to anybody about my product, I know exactly pretty much all of the objections that they can give me, because I practiced on ChatGPT many times. So that's one of the things I use it for go-to-market strategy. And then the best one, time consuming, that I don't spend time anymore, is I just copy and paste a profile from an investor. This is when I was raising capital. I'd go on their website, copy and paste, and then I'd paste it onto ChatGPT, and it now knows to token if there are investors on the call that I'm going to talk to, I'm sorry, but this helps me, is I would just be like, hey, read this whole thing, summarize it into 2 sentences with my voice, contextual to my company, and make it personal. So I don't instead of taking my time, I just do it in 2 seconds. And I just did it for 100 investors, and I got some calls, so it worked.
I love it. If it works, it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, those are some really creative uses. I'm actually going to steal the product bulletproofing one too from you. That's like, because I'll be honest, I don't use it that much in my day to day, but those both sound like really solid use cases. I mean, the biggest impact for me, I mentioned this earlier, but has been the coding bit. Just because it's just so much easier than scrolling through links and digging through Substack and seeing all the passive aggressive comments. But Kazzy, I think you opened my eyes a little bit. Maybe I'll try to get more creative. And that's the thing about it, right? Like when it comes to all this generative AI, we've seen all prompt engineering is a thing now. It's a full-on thing. There's books about it. So I feel like there's just so many creative ways to use it, and we've just started scratching the surface.
Whatever your way of doing things is, if you have a way of doing things, like you have a task, tell it what you're what you would do. Be like, look, I'm going to do this like that. What would you do? It gives you 5 or 10 different approaches, and it's insane because you're like, I never thought of that, but I'm going to do that now. So it unlocks a different, I don't even know if it unlocks a part of your brain. It just gives you so many other ideas to build off of, which changes it's like a huge change. It's not like a little thing. It's like a massive thing. It'll open up a huge door for you that you would have never thought about. And then it creates a whole new, whatever your task is, it'll create something brand new for you that you would have never thought about by yourself. So anytime I want to work, I go and I say, hey, this is what I'm about to do today. This is what I'm going to work on. What do you think? And it's like, have you tried this approach? I'm like, no, I haven't at all, actually. And it's genius. So that's what I do every morning. It's like my stand-up. I sit down and I talk to ChatGPT, and I have one chat that I've had it for a month or 2 months now, where it has all of the history. So it knows everything about everything. And I say, remind me of this chat again, just so I know you know what's happening. It tells me, I'm like, okay, remember we talked about that? It's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, let's talk about it. I love using ChatGPT, clearly.
Yeah, I do too. And every time I talk to someone new, there's a new example or new use case for it. So I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she said that she had made an elaborate workout plan. And she said, I want to do as few workouts as possible for maximal bicep gains or whatever. And it just turns out, you know, useful information and a plan for her. We're running up on about 5 minutes left, and I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, but I would love to end on a note of talking about folks who, you know, maybe they're entrepreneurs, maybe they're just kind of getting into AI and just sort of acclimating to it and the conversation. What advice would you give to them for anyone looking to get started in AI and trying to kind of, like I said, grow that muscle of AI and fluency and understanding it and being comfortable with it? What would you say to those folks?
I can. Waleed, go ahead, Waleed, go ahead.
I'll be quick. So basically, I think if you're interested in AI, like many of us are, the big thing for me at least is don't feel like you need to learn, you know, the linear algebra or the programming or this or that. It's such a big field at this point, and there's so much space for people to work with and on AI projects that really you can, you know, I'd say like really find the thing that you're interested in, the topic that you're interested in. And then from there, you know, I think AI is going to touch everything kind of similar to how electricity touches every industry right now. And so if you really want to be in AI, I just say find the topic that is most interesting to you. And then you'll, you know, like Kazzy mentioned, a lot of really cool and unique ways to start using AI or to start building something that doesn't exist yet, if that's what you're thinking too.
For sure. I shared just now in the chat. I really think everybody should click the first 2 links or all 3. The first one is the directory. So whatever you're interested in, if you click SaaS AI tools and you look on the left, everything is there. Finance, gaming, emails, everything. You click it. It's so fun to even just go through the different apps and companies that exist, go on their website, look at what they do. And then the YouTube videos I shared, somebody created a video where he went through 200 tools, and it's really fast. It's a 10-minute video, and it's like, it'll open up your eyes so much, and just watch it and you'll start to understand what people are doing with it. And to dive in, like to answer your question, Hannah, it's like whatever you're interested in, like what are you passionate about? Go look at that industry and see how they're applying AI. And then go to ChatGPT, have a conversation, and it's going to help you come up with something. So that's what my suggestion would be.
Well, with that said, we've got about 3 minutes left. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the panelists. It was such a treat to speak with you. I actually wish we had more time so I could pick your brains more. And of course, thank you to Hani and Aleda for organizing this and sponsoring this event. It was such a treat. I hope everyone got something out of it and learned more about AI or what folks are doing in AI. Thank you, Kazzy, for the links, actually. I'm sure Hani can find a way to circulate these maybe in the Slack or an email. But again, thank you so much. Really enjoyed speaking with you all and hope to see you again soon.
Yep. Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for participating in the panel and for joining. Totally echo what you said, Hannah. I wish we had more time to talk about this, but we'll continue to organize events like this. And of course, you know, try to make great profiles, great people like this available to the wider community, because we're all super interested in what you have to say and what you're doing. So with that, I'll close things out. Again, thank you all so much, and hopefully we'll chat soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone. Take good care.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.
With meme cam.